pumpkin is now 9 days old. So far it looks like the pollination has taken. And we're going to set up the boards. So we're using a 2-inch thick insulation board, and you can buy this as a 4x8 sheet, and then we cut it in half, and we'll use one for each pumpkin. This is what we move the pumpkin with as well, but we're going to try actually growing it on these boards this year. So I'm going to work on positioning it underneath the pumpkin and kind of clearing the vines around it away. So you can see this vine here that I buried has already rooted, but unfortunately, because it's as close as it is to the pumpkin, I'm gonna actually have to cut that off because as the pumpkin grows upwards, this main vine ends up a couple feet in the air. And if you keep things rooted in the ground this close to the pumpkin where the vine needs to go up, you can end up breaking your vine. So a couple of the nodes that were buried, probably shouldn't have buried them in the first place, will have to be cut. And then we'll start to bring the vine up in preparation for the pumpkin to start growing and filling in that space. We also use pool noodles to lift the vine up, to keep the vine in the air so it doesn't pull on the pumpkin as the pumpkin grows. So just a couple of cut little sections of pool noodle underneath the vine, and you kind of keep doing that to shim the pumpkin off the ground as it grows. All right, now the board is in place. Kind of manipulated the vines, the secondary vines, to be out of the way. And this is the main vine here coming off that way. So I'll kind of continue to train it out, and it'll keep growing out until it intersects with the other plant, and then we'll deadhead it. And it looks like a tiny little thing on a really big platform right now, but it won't be long and it'll start really filling up the space. So the main thing at this point is keeping your secondary vines and your main vine from intersecting with the pumpkin. So you want to make sure this is not contacting the pumpkin, or the pumpkin's putting pressure there or there on the secondary. And also all back here, this main vine needs to lift up into the air as the pumpkin grows. And right now in the short term, we'll just use a little bit of row cover here to just protect the pumpkin from the sun, and it'll just be like that for a few days, and as it gets bigger, then we can start putting a sheet on it. I've added sand underneath the pumpkin so it's got something to slide on as it grows. So as it grows, it'll slide out, and the sand kind of acts like little ball bearings. So we'll keep adding sand in this area as it grows. We've got a little bit of a cucumber beetle problem. They're in the neighboring pumpkin patch here, but they're showing up in the giant pumpkin patch as well. And because we're all natural, there's nothing we can really do other than try and kill them on the leaves in the morning when they're not moving too fast. All right, it's day 15, and pretty confident we've got a pumpkin that is pollinated, so we're gonna take off the backup, which is sitting over here. Just for fun, we cut it in half just to kind of see what the pumpkin shape looks like. I'm not really an expert to say if this is good or bad, but it's kind of cool. You can see all the seeds that were forming. You can see the wall thickness that was starting to build. All right, this is the 2163. Pretty confident we've got a good pollination, so we're gonna take that back up and cut it out. The two vine tips are actually growing into each other, and there will be additional secondaries that are going to continue to grow out. So I'll leave the secondaries but will deadhead at these tips here. So basically right at the intersection point, they'll be deadheaded. It's July 17th. This is the 2163 patent, and this is day 15. Looking okay. This is also 17 days after pollination. This is the 2356 booth. And it's starting to pick up some steam. Plant has been deadheaded, but we still actually have a lot of space to fill in with the secondaries. And for some reason, we're really finding them to be sensitive to the sun right now. So even like 85, 90 degree days, and we're getting burn at the tips. Not sure what's going on. Might be, we use a little bit of fertilizer. We usually don't fertilize much, but we did use a little bit of fertilizer. So maybe it's the sensitivity coming from that. So we'll back down on that and see what happens, but definitely a bit worrisome. Both plants have a little bit of that same sensitivity, and both plants have quite a bit of space to fill in still.